Hello and welcome to the Local Haunts booktube tag. If you're here, you've probably heard of Local Haunts. It's a horror anthology. I should probably get it out of my rucksack. Keep rolling. It's this bad boy, Local Haunts, edited by Regina St. There are 19 terrifying tales from all of your, well, some of your, a couple of your favourite HorrorTube creators. I mean, I'm in there, so that's good. And today we're going to be doing a book tag inspired by this. So we have 10 questions. I'm out here in location in a very stunning, well, in the graveyard, very stunning West Wickham Hill. I think that's where we're at. The Golden Ball is up there. We visited the Hellfire Caves. And these are some of the key locations for my story in this, which is a stone's throw. But we're going to get to that later. As you know, with book tags, a bunch of questions. I'm going to tag some people at the end to take it. And let's get started with spooky question 1.
Local Haunts. Tell us about a creepy or spooky place that's close to you.
We're here by Lord Dashwood's grave. We think it might be Francis Dashwood. We actually have no idea, literally no idea. But we're going to say it's Lord Francis Dashwood because he was the character in my story, in A Stone's Throw. So I'm going to tell you a few of the local haunts here in High Wycombe, and these are really the stories that shaped my story in the anthology. So again, we're here at, well, the Golden Ball is in the background. That's part of the old churchy bit. Good old Francis Dashwood buried over there. He was a real person. Actually, a lot of the areas in Wycombe are named after Dashwood, but he was also like the head honcho of the Hellfire Caves. Francis had this like club dedicated to drunkenness and debauchery. Basically, they just got really drunk and had sex with a load of prostitutes. What they did. You know, not very different to these days. There's some horses. So, right, where was I? Yeah, so Francis, the story goes that he had a gay lover, and unfortunately this guy died, and Francis was really upset about it, and I believe it was his heart that he kept and buried that in the Hellfire Caves, I want to say. Very haunted area, lots of ghosts throughout the Hellfire Caves, but the one that I wrote about is Suki, who was the teenage barmaid of the George and Dragon, and yeah, she was hounded to death sort of accidentally a bit by some local boys, and they say that her ghost still haunts the place to this day. It's very, very sad. What else can I add about Wycombe that's local and haunted?
There's the Bandit Highway between Wycombe and Beaconsfield.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Nah.
But there's a Bandit Highway between Wycombe and Beaconsfield. Well, Wycombe's quite a historic town as well, so that's where like a lot of this history comes in. I mean, it was a staging post on the way into London, and actually that again plays a part in A Stone's Throw, where one of the characters is stopping off in Wycombe on his way into London, and that's why a lot of the pubs and stuff grew out of it.
Question 2. A Stone's Throw. Tell us about a story with a young female character who's had a tough life.
So we're here at the Hellfire Caves, which is where a good chunk of the action in my story, A Stone's Throw, takes place. I don't want to spoil it for you, but little Suki from the George and Dragon comes along here. It's a pretty haunted place, lots of history to it. I might be doing a fuller video on that soon as well. And yeah, I should answer the question, shouldn't I? So we're going for The Breathing Method by Stephen King. And I've been told I can't talk about the backstreet abortion parts of that story, but that's okay because she doesn't have a backstreet abortion. She just gets decapitated in a car accident and then delivers a baby while not having a head. But she has pretty tough life circumstances because she's pregnant and she wants to keep the kid, but she has no money. She's even talking to a doctor about like what's the longest that I can work, what's the longest amount of time that I can disguise the fact that I'm pregnant, because this was at a time when unmarried pregnant women were kind of looked down upon in society, and so she was worried about losing her job, and a doctor was kind of cautioning her against, like, he was like, don't wear a girdle, mate, because if you wear a girdle it'll mess up the baby. I think he used the word retarded because it was 1982 or whatever. But yeah, see, she had to kind of balance out earning enough money to live and doing what's best for the baby, and then at the end, it all went a bit tits up anyway.
Question 3. Crowthorne. Tell us about a story with a harmful friendship.
Leaving Dirty Jersey by James Sallam, and it's a non-fiction memoir about crystal meth, so it's going to be a lot of fun, not much sleep happening. His friends weren't very weren't very good to him, really. I mean, he was a meth addict, so everybody's just after him for money, drugs, like getting him involved in all these crimes and stuff. I haven't reread it actually for at least like 5 years now, and I'd be interested to see if I'd still like it, because it is sort of a middle-class white guy complaining about his meth addiction. And I'm sure there are kind of more important stories out there, but at the same time it is fascinating just to read about his crazy life as a meth addict, getting involved in like armed robberies and stuff. He used to live in a house where they had like blackout things over all the windows because they didn't want to know about natural lighting and stuff. It was a harrowing read, but it's good, especially if you enjoy it with some crystal meth.
Question 4. Screen 8. Tell us about a movie that scares you and that's based on a true story.
So we're doing this one here because we have this cinematic landscape behind us. I can see my house from here. My answer for this question, it's really quite dark actually. So I'm going to go for Bowling for Columbine. I mean, it's a documentary film, obviously based on a true story. Michael Moore investigating the aftermath of the Columbine school shootings. What I do know is that a shit ton of school shootings have happened since that movie came out. It seems as though we're not really making any steps as a society to stop that from happening. And it's not just school shootings, it's mass shootings in general. I mean, we don't really have that. We're in the UK, so we just get knife crime, which is a lot less glamorous. But I don't know, we live in a world where people are afraid to go outside in case they get shot in a random mass shooting, you know, and that's just probably the scariest thing of all of the things we've talked about in this video.
Question 5. The Mount of Death. Beer me! Tell us a story where a drink plays a role in the plot.
The Last Call at the Nightshade Lounge by Paul Kruger, which is a good name for a horror tag. Who's it by? It's by Quirk Publishing, who are very quirky, as this video apparently is. Yeah, it's about this guy who's like, he works in a cocktail bar, and it's got this magic system where, I'm not going to drink any of this by the way, I'm just holding it for a prop. I'm doing Sober October. Yeah, so he works in this nightclub, and he's a mixologist. He prepares these drinks. But the drinks are essentially like magic potions, so the different mixes do different things. So one of them will turn you invisible, and one of them will enable you to detect where monsters are, and one of them will slow time. So Last Call at the Nightshade Lounge by Paul Kruger. It's good.
Question 6. The Blocked Cellar. Tell us about your favourite horror, paranormal or true crime YouTube channel.
So I'm going to go for That Chapter, which is an Irish YouTuber. He does true crime, does a lot of digging into like the backstories of different cases. For me, it's like the equivalent of watching something like Forensic Files, except he's got like 600 videos, so you can just binge on him. He's also got a great sense of humour. He does a lot of stuff where he talks to like the families and stuff, and gets like police tapes and all this stuff. It's mad what you can get with freedom of information requests, man. He's very entertaining, really fascinating cases, and like some of them are big name cases that you might have heard of, like he did one on the shooting of Jill Dando, which is like a big case here in the UK. A lot of older cases, and equally again a lot of them are still breaking news stuff. So some of the recent ones that I've seen, he'll do a video on a case, and then 10 months later he'll do an update video saying so and so's been arrested, here's the new evidence, here's what you need to know. So That Chapter on YouTube.
Question 7. The Night Watchman. Tell us about a story that's set partly at night.
We're in the woods. My answer for this is The Lord of the Rings. More specifically, I guess, The Fellowship of the Ring. Well, we can't be more specific because there's also the Two Towers. There are a few scenes in Lord of the Rings that take place in the dark. One of the more obvious ones to me is when Frodo gets stabbed by the Nazgul, the old kings of the old men, the Nine, and he gets that horrible stab wound that kind of haunts him for the rest of his days, really. So there's that iconic scene, but there is also the Battle of Helm's Deep, which takes place at night, and then, as we all know, Gandalf the White, I guess by that point, shows up on Shadowfax at the what is it? The dawn of look east on the dawn of the third day. I think he said something like that. So we're going Lord of the Rings.
Question 8. Alone Among the Gum Trees. Tell us about a story that takes place in the wilderness.
So this for me is It's going to be Shadows on the Tundra, and I want to say her name is Dalia Grinka-Viswete. She's Lithuanian, or she was Lithuanian, and her story takes place in the frozen tundras of Russia. Basically, during the Second World War, as well as all the atrocities that the Nazi Party were committing in concentration camps and political prisoner camps, the Soviet Union was doing a lot of messed up, janky shit as well. So her and her family were all deported to Siberia and basically put to work in these labour camps, and they were just in these horrible conditions where there'd be, dozens, hundreds of people all screwed up together in the same room. When people died, quite often they didn't have the facilities to take them out. Even when they did, during the winter, the ground was so frozen with permafrost that they couldn't dig graves, so they had to wait for the spring and summer to be able to bury people. And it was pretty much a case of people being worked to death and given little to no food, no medical attention, in one of the harshest, most inhospitable places on the planet. But also what's interesting about this is the story behind the story. So basically the manuscript was written, I'm not sure how long after, but after she kind of made it back to Lithuania. But she buried the manuscript in a jar in her back garden because she was worried that the Soviet authorities would find out about it, and that it would cause some more trouble for herself. So it wasn't actually discovered until after she died, and was subsequently printed and is now available. It's by Perrin Press. So yeah, definitely read it. It's really kind of harrowing non-fiction that tells a story that I don't think is covered enough.
Question 9. Highway to Hell. Tell us about a story that involves music.
So I'm going for Monsters of Rock, which is it's not my current work in progress. It's first draft I've completed, hasn't been through editing yet. So you'll probably see it in 5 years, knowing my, times publication. Monsters of Rock is a fiction novel that's Lord of the Rings meets Spinal Tap. So you've got this band that's knocking around, they're playing a bunch of songs. Everybody thinks they're great, but they think they're a bit like Slipknot, where they just wear these weird masks, but they're normal people. Only it turns out that they are actual monsters. The band is called Real Monsters as well, so you'd think people would pick that up, but no, they just don't get it. So you've got the characters. Oh, they've got some great names as well. This is where you're going to start laughing, I think. Okay, so the members of the Monsters of Rock. Well, obviously we have founding member, guitarist, rhythm guitarist, and vocalist and songwriter Groin Gonadson. Here's a dwarf. What was his? Oh, his girlfriend is called Minge Crotchdottir, that's the one. So you've got Groin, you've got Yeva Bankovska. She is a wood elf from Latvia. She plays the keyboards and drives a van that's basically the mystery machine from Scooby-Doo. We have the troll, he's called, I can't say it, it's called Kurt, it's spelled K-R-Z-T, it's called Kurz, which means rock, 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 which is a good name for a rock musician. He wanted to play the drums, but he's a troll, so he just hits them too hard and smashes them all to shit. So now he plays double bass. He plays like a double bass, but he picks it up and plays it like a normal bass guitar. You've got Vlad Black, who is said to be related to Vlad the Impaler. He's the vampire. He used to play for Spinal Tap and used to spontaneously combust in their outdoor shows because of the sunlight. And yeah, it's basically a good old, band Tory novel where we see what happens on the road. Yeah, lots of good stuff. Monsters of Rock.
Question 10. At the end of the rope, tag some BookTube and or HorrorTube friends.
This is a bit I've been looking forward to, but I need some help from my old friend Mr. Skeleton here. Artwork by Cameron Rubik, by the way, very talented author as well. So I'm going to tag all of the authors who took part in this. All channels are linked below as well. So these are all alphabetical by surname, which is always a good thing. So we've got Kevin David Anderson, Cameron Chaney from Library Macabre. We have Dane Cobain from Dane Reads, except I've already done it. James Flynn from Artist James Flynn. We have Mihalis Georgiostathis from The Nihilist Geek. Nicholas Gray from Spooky Noodles, great channel. E.D. Lewis from E.D. Lewis Reviews. Andrew Lyle from Grumpy Andrew's Horror House. Marie McWilliams from Marie McWilliams. Lydia Peaver of Typical Books. Ken Poirier from The King for Mayor. R. St. Clair from Regina's Haunted Library, that's Regina, Regina, sorry, I always say it like vagina, my bad, sorry Regina, who did all the hard work on this. Next we have Ryan Stroud from Coach Stroud's What to Read While Quarantined. We have Michael Taylor from It's Mikey's Mind, another great channel, love Mikey's videos. D.L. Tillery from author D.L. Tillery. We have Matt Wall from Paperback Junkie, fellow Bukowski fan. Jason White from Jason's Weird Reads. We have Cam Wolf from Page Nomad, big up Cam. And we have CJ Wright from CJ Wright's Book and Horror. So there we go, you guys all tagged. So anyway, that was the Local Haunts book tag. I'll leave all the information below where you can find out more about the Local Haunts anthology and all of the authors in it, who are also all of the people I've tagged. But if you want to take the tag, feel free. Again, all the information down below. Take the questions, run with it, do some spooky shit. It'll be great. So in the meantime, let me know in the comments if you're going to be reading Local Haunts, and if you have, let me know what you thought of it. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe for more, and I will see you soon for another bookish video. Thanks a lot. Spooky day now.